Welcome back. So, yeah, we were working on, you know, on the lb config dash switches.d directory advice. So, the main idea is that so basically, what the LLM suggested us to do was to have auto directories and so on. That's not it. So this is not it. Yeah, this one here. So maybe here I can see. So this is the original suggestion about building everything, and then I ask it regarding these variables. So look at that. So what I wanted is that the AMD 64 USB generates a hard disk image so that we can put it into a USB. So here there's the LLM suggested to have a config platform AMD 64 USB config. So inside of the live milk root, we would have config file. So in config file, you would have all of this big comment, this big this big line with all of these switches. And so I said, oh, if we have all of these switches, when we make a change to it, I don't know, change it the bootloader or change it the archive areas or whatever, it's not going to work as expected. It's going. You are going to have hit lines with plus and plus, minus, and so on. This would be better if we had individual files. So this made up. I'm not sure if it's here. It made up that you could have some files here and there, and that was not right. So he also suggested this LB binary images, variables things. So what I did here was to branch, and you can see here the branch. So what about using these variables instead of just using only the config file? What if we used only variables, and we could have some common lb config switches.d that it's read each time this works. So it says that yes, but instead of using auto, that was my original idea, it uses something else. Maybe it's a good idea. I don't know. But here, as you can see, there's a config loader step in stage 3. So in prepare-config.sh, where you load common M fragments, you load platform M fragments, then you merge and you export the variables, and then you run lb-config without switches. So this is an idea of how this would like. So you would have the common lb-config switches.d with base packages. This one has something related to the platform. And so there would be a load lbm.sh file that basically sources all of the files from the .conf in here. And then once you do that, you export everything that starts with lb underscore, which is what you usually use when you set up live build stuff. So basically, prepare-config would run, I guess, this. Yeah, it would run with source this load lbenv. So here it exports platform so that you can have it here. You can use it here instead inside of load dash lb dash env.sh, and then you run this thing here, and you're good to go. And you wouldn't need an auto file. So let's check what was the latest change that we did here. I'm not sure if so. There's the package artifacts thing that we still need to test. This is the run live build thing, and so prepare-config should be improved, and we would have that that config directory with the switches. So we will see how we do this. Yeah, and so feedback and random questions are welcome so that the stream is more interesting. So hopefully someone comments here. So we're going to work on this. Basically, what I'm going to be using here is, naming conversion. Use only LB variables supported by live build, because, yeah, that's right. Your system defines priority common platform because source common and then source platform overrides common automatically. Yeah, that makes sense. So let's start with prepare config being improved, and from there we will see how this goes. So prepare.config. So we'll have prepare.config.sh. I overwrite, and one enter here, and I can take a look at what the changes are in here. Maybe in here, so that the other ones are meant to be built. So we have load environment variables by sourcing load lbenv.sh, and then you enter work config and you run lbconfig. Wait a second. Run lbconfig using environment variables? No, because we already ran lbconfig somewhere else. So there's no need to do this. Export source. Wait a second. So we were using something else in make. We are missing something in here. Wait a second. So make file, which I'm going to open on the top so that I have it more handy. So make file here on the top. Have I bookmarked this without thinking too much? So this is running, you run prepare so that you have the different files there, and then you build the stuff. So it's first you prepare and then you build. So when you build the stuff, you're actually running this run live build thing that it's here, which it's going to take the work directory and just run lbconfig thing. So all of this is run inside of the Docker. And so prepare-config, I'm not sure this is run inside the Docker. Because the make file inside the Docker, where the hell is this? Bootstrap. Yeah, so when you run prepare or you run build, you've got this prepare config and run live build thing. So this is not as easy as expected, because it tell us to run lvconfig, and we would be running lvconfig inside of outside of any environment. So this part makes sense that it's done inside of prepare-config.sh, but lvconfig, you don't want to be running it here. You want to be running it inside of the inside of the Docker image. So let's point it out to the to this thing here, and we will see how what the hell it does. Because yeah, I'm not sure about this. Okay. I agree on or using scripts lot lvm.sh. However, this is running on the host, while we want it to be run inside of the Docker image. So maybe we need another approach so that this is taken into account inside of the Docker image, and that at the same time those inside of the Docker image good cache. This is exactly the kind of detail that separates works locally set up from a reproducible Docker build system. If you load env on the host, you break isolation and reproducibility. So the correct design is generate config on host, execute lvconfig inside Docker using those configs. Wait a minute. Yeah. So instead of host loads env, container loads env, runs lvconfig. So we move the env lock inside the Docker. Okay, so stage 3 copy config, do not run lvconfig, do not load env. Stage 4 container, do this. Move loader into container, execute the script. Let's see. Okay, so yeah. Stage 3. Now it only prepares the files. And this is the container run thing. Container run. Okay, for now we're going to take a look at the prepare-config.h simplified. we will take a look to see if there's any difference here. So there's this difference that we are going to restore, and basically we haven't changed prepare-config. So prepare-config only deals with directory whatever. Okay, so let's reload this thing. So do we do this container run.sh thing? So this is like run live build.sh. So platform there, this and that, and then the other one. So it's okay using even cleaner recommended, but you have a name for this thing here, which is scripts container run.sh, because the name should involve live build or a baby run live. Okay. Naming matters. Container, this and that. Run live build in container. Host docker run live built in container. LB config this and that. Platform running inside container. Okay, well, I don't know. I can help you clean the split LB config and LB build separate stages. Caging and debugging, and exactly what Tails does. Okay, let's try this container run thing for now. This is going to be found in scripts. Container run.sh. So container run.sh. Wait, I have used the name that I didn't want to be using. So I want to be using run live build in container. So like this. So let's commit these methods regarding adding this thing here. Scripts added run live build in container.sh. Okay. And so basically now we want to take a look at the right LBM final. Wait a minute, LB-conf. I mean, this could be nice to have, but I don't know. Subtle pitfall. Make sure lb-config is run inside the correct directory, otherwise live build ignores config. Yeah, I mean, once you do this, explode far from the inside. Prepare files, execute build. Okay, so run live build.sh is somewhere in here. Let me check what the hell it suggests to be doing in here. Yeah, I mean, image, we're going to just use this thing here. Image like this. So basically, this is it. Okay, scripts container run. That's not right. We have changed the name for this thing here. Run live build in this thing here. So now we have updated run live build.sh. Scripts run live. So this is number 2. Although I don't know, maybe it doesn't make sense to mix it. Yeah, so so basically now run live build.sh. It's not doing lb config and lb build here, but it's running this script, which is somewhere around here. Let me open it so that we can take a look at it. So this script is doing the merge of everything in here and effective config. So it does lb config and lb build. And it's true that we are missing running this thing in the right place. So I'm not sure. lb config should be run in the right place. Work the platform. Are we using this thing here? Work the platform when we run live build. Yes, we are running this from platform, so lb config would be okay and lb build would also be okay. So I think we are fine. So optional next upgrade, you're very close. Generate a resolved config snapshot, so every build is traceable and reproducible. If you want NX to help you add config data in between platform, stage casing, implement this and that. Okay, so this is regarding the name to use, and inside we could have this thing here, which I guess is this one here. So you say this is the platform and this is running inside a container. Yeah, why not? I don't know. So the latest commit is run live build. So this is the other one, run live build in container, and I can say that this is number 2. Later on we can commit stuff so that it's nice. Later on we can ignore that, and so on. So now that we have all of this, we could maybe think about, you know, having some switches for this. So hopefully we can okay, so this is where we say, okay, let's name this and that and so on. And so I want it to help me generate so make Rescatux, make common. Do we have make common open here from the pre-2026 architecture or something like that? Let's open it on the top so that we can work here on the bottom if anything. So here on the top we can see a lot of stuff that we were doing. Here it is, config no auto. So we actually want no auto and all of this. Yeah, so ISO application, ISO publisher, ISO volume. Yeah, maybe we can copy this thing and work on the you know. So this is package artifacts. We have this thing about run live build thing, and I think we could have something like you know 14b. So this is like Rescatux 2026 14b, and this is going to be related to lbconfig.mb. So here you have, I mean, this is bash, isn't it? So this makes sense to highlight this thing as bash, like this. It's quite interesting how this is in red. I mean, this is cat. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, so the idea is that we have all of these options. So 14b. So this is 14b lbconfig. So we want to turn the old lbconfig switches to .conf files that use lb variables. Okay. So that's what we're going to do in all of this. So so the first one would be, if I'm not mistaken, the no auto. So lbconfig no auto. So I need to have the live manual thing. Live manual. Debian live manual. Where's English for the impatient? Using an ISO hybrid lbconfig command. So this is the lbconfig with all the stuff that we have. Autoconfig, managing a configuration. Why use autoscript? What do they do? lbconfig command stores option capacity in config files along with many other options set to default values. If you run lconfig again, it will not reset any option that was defaulted based on your initial options. So for example, if you run lbconfig again, if a new value for binary images, any dependent option that was defaulted for the old image type may no longer work with the new ones. Nor are these files intended to be read or deleted. They're stored over hundreds of values. For all these reasons, autoscript makes your life easier. This and that. The autoconfig stores your lbconfig with all desired options. The auto clean removes. The auto build keeps build log. So yeah, use the lbconfig config to cheat repertory. That's not what we actually want to be doing. We want to have the many variables that we have. Customization, live. So maybe I just have to take a look at the source code, because otherwise, so where the hell? So in external, we should have live build subproject, hit subproject. So one of these ones, it's going to be, you know, one of these is going to be one of this is going to be no auto. So hopefully I can do something like this and search something like no auto, capital letters, auto. So here there are all the configurations, and there's no auto stuff. Why is that? I don't know. In theory, I should be taking a look at that lbconfig. So it's like a scripts. So it's this file here that I used to modify when I did some of the live build changes. So here it is. So create configuration of whatever. So in here we should have the auto thing. Ignoring --config is CW is already a hit repo. Not when run from autoscript direction to avoid repetition. Oh, look at that. So apparently the no auto stuff, that this is the real thing. It's, I want this to be using whatever lb config no auto. So okay, so now I'm going to ask, help me generate config file for common, what was the other one for common? Where was the original device around here? It's stay for run live build. So this at one point it. Okay, so basically it's just running lb config no auto. Like this. So let's copy this thing into where the hell are you? And this is so we have Rescatux config. So I'm not going to use any platform for now. I'm just going to use config common, and so config common, it's going to have its own config file in here, because that's what we want to have in here. And this is going to be interesting because this config file, it's going to have no auto, because everything else should be set by variables, if you know what I mean. lb config no auto. Wait a second. This is not right. This is not right. Let's remove this thing because we already had a script, probably this one here, which was running lb config. So here we say lb config no auto. Okay, because we don't want, we just want the variables, but we don't want to create anything that, yeah, so this is live build that we are not using anymore. In the, so in here, the scripts run live in container. So I guess I can amend the latest commit so that this is only one commit. So now you can see the latest commit. So you have this and that. Yeah, and maybe we can run live build. I don't know. Edit config directory. Yeah, we will squash all of these later on because for now it doesn't matter too much. So now we have this change regarding here, and now we see at the top the different versions, and here at the top it doesn't have an lb variable. We just define it in the run something something. which is use the switch in this thing here. That way we don't have this auto configuration, so we have our own configuration. And maybe there's some need to remove whatever we have right now in work, but I'm not sure about that. So lbconfig no auto, this and that, okay? What else do we have? So here on the top, we have bootloaders. So it's true that bootloaders, you know, lbconfig bootloaders. We are not going to set this up yet. I mean, I had this thing regarding, you know, this idea about setting up Debian 10 instead of Debian 12, and I would reuse all of these settings. Yeah, so updates false, apt recommends false. Updates, so we could have lb updates. So we could have something like apt recommends false. So this would be bash. So let's take a look. We should have okay, so in this I think we have lb. I mean, here we should have the no auto thing. No, we don't have it. So what was the updates? Propose updates. Updates true false. Long options. Okay, so here we should have the no auto thing maybe, but no, it's not here. So it's special switch. So lb updates. Okay, so lb updates equals false, and apt recommends. Where the hell are you? apt recommends. So this is like lpt recommends. We remove this thing too. Although maybe. So the idea is that we don't want something that moves too much. We just want, you know, we don't have updates, we don't have recommends. So so now I have the doubt if I have to name these files somehow. So 20 updates.conf and so this would be in common config commons. So we would have this special directory, which I no longer remember what's the name for this. It's something like dot d thing, so config common and this thing here. So we create the directory, and then in here then from here we're going to copy whatever we have set up in here. Okay, so lb update, so 20 updates, 20 updates dot conf. So let's remove this thing here. So here we can put some ideas of why the hell we are doing this thing. We do not want to apply updates so that each time that we build the we build the image, we get the same result. We get almost the same result. So here you have the explanation why we are doing this, and we have a file for this. Okay. Yeah. So what else do we have in here? So recommends. So recommends, it's false to. And explanation is we don't want to apply recommends. The usual usually the image ends up with more packages than needed, and also its size is bigger, she said. Okay, so LPAPT recommends false. So yeah, look at that. So this is nice. So what else can we check on the top regarding lb config? Maybe we can have some divs here regarding this stuff. So config common lb config, so we can say something like added lb config switches.d, which is this is something that we can add more stuff, and then we can squash or whatever. So look at that. So what else do we have here on the top regarding lb config? So bootloaders, we have said that we don't do anything with bootloaders. Linux flavors, Linux flavors. Yeah, I don't know. This should be using default stuff, isn't it? So this is lbconfig Linux flavor. Let's not define this for now. In theory, in AMD 64 platform, we should just have an AMD 64 kernel, and in i3 platform, we should just have a 66 kernel. Maybe later on double check on adding a Pi option, because I don't know. So distribution option, what the hell is this? Distribution option. What the hell is this variable here? Let's take a look at the old architecture. Make Rescatux, I guess. Make common, I guess. Till this makes sense. Where's the LB command? Okay, so here we have the LB command. So distribution option is minus the bookworm. So we already tried to build this thing with bookworm. Now, a bit confused. Did I modify this manually? Yes, probably when I started to make some tests. So it's distribution bookworm. So let's copy this thing so that we can handle it here on this lbconfig thing. So this is regarding this thing. So distribution, if I'm not mistaken, it's in here. So it's minus D. Oh, yeah, this is long option. So okay, so distribution. So LB distribution, bookworm or whatever. So this is going to be the same one in the two places. So this is going to be bookworm. Let me check. Yeah, bash. So I'm thinking about building also the other versions, but I don't know about that. Building Debian 10, 11, and 12. But I'm not going to do so. So in here, the common one, we're going to have the distribution, which it's going just to be 10 distribution.conf. So this one, it's going to be lb distribution bookworm. For this version, we just want to use bookworm so that we can build i3 images. The images, given that Trixie no longer supports fully i3X architecture. By the way, okay, yeah, we leave here and a space. So let's keep going on. Let's keep reading all of these options that we have here, which is arch option. So again, arch option. So this is going to be like AMD or whatever, isn't it? So maybe we can open here on the top the make common thing that has live config somewhere, which is this one here. That way we don't have to move so much. And so we want to find the arch option thing that hopefully is set up here. So it's minus a i386. So the architecture option, it makes sense that we have it on each one of the platforms. So we might have the full one, or maybe not. And then in each one of the directories, the platforms, we have this arch option. So that's what we are going to do. I mean, now I'm seeing that I could branch this out with architecture and just put this thing there so that I don't have to copy and paste so many stuff. But I don't think it's actually needed. So let's try to work that. So if we take a look at this and we search minus a or whatever, maybe minus a architecture is like this, LB architecture. So LB architecture, it's going to be yeah, I mean, i386 or AMD 64. So this is what I'm going to be using in here. So we have config common, and in theory we should be able to have a config platform. This is the first time we have a config platform. Wait a second, let me move this out of the way. So we would have a platform in here, and here inside of the platform we would have an lb config switches.d thing. No, I'm not doing this right. So lb-config.switch-t thing, and now I can copy and paste the lb architecture. Wait, config platform. I'm not doing this right. So we would have, you know, AMD 64 USB. Let's copy. Let's create for now this i386 thing in here, so that we have this thing as a template. So this is like 05 architecture.conf, and now we can edit this thing, and you can see how it's this thing here. So i386 architecture. So for now, that's I'm not going to add any explanation here. So what I was saying is that this is going to be AMD 64 ISO. This is going to be i386 ISO and i386 USB. So let me copy and paste, copy and paste, copy and paste. I wasn't supposed. And again, copy and paste. So this one here, I'm going to remove it. And now you can see how we have this architecture conf file that it's everywhere. And yeah. So basically, I'm going to open all of these files so that we can see all of them at the same time. And we're going to make sure that we nail the architecture thing. So you can see here, like this is AMD 64. So this is going to be AMD 64. Look at that. Next one is the ISO. I mean, it's AMD USB, so this is AMD 64 too. And if you check the others, this is i386 and this is i386. So we are fine with this. So AMD. So we can close all of this. And in theory, we should be fine. We should be rather fine, quite fine with all of this. So yeah, so we are fine with this architecture thing. Yeah, so we can take a look at the next one, or maybe we can commit this thing, I don't know. Root file system option. Well, this is something that apparently we might use or not. I don't think this is useful. I mean, we could have it, maybe not. So I'm going to just say this was useful for debugging and making the build faster. We will ignore for now. Gauge stage option. This is going to be the same thing, because it's not going to be defined here. So we will ignore for now. What else do we have around here? I don't know. Put option. What the hell is this? Maybe this one is set up here. No, it's not. Put option. What the hell is this? Put option. Okay, let's make a commit. With all of this that we have. So these are LB config switches. So if you take a look at what's going to be the commit, these are LB config switches. So this is nice. So yeah, maybe we can just amend this thing and be fine. So we amend all of this, and now we can maybe start to so keep checking this LV config option and additional ones. So the nice thing about this is that we are recreating all of this, even if, you know, we could maybe, you know, put option. So I guess that maybe we're missing the ISO hybrid thing that I don't know where the hell is it. Because original there was this ISO hybrid thing. maybe the ISO hybrid thing, it's additional LV config. I don't know. So this should be in make Rescatux, if I'm not mistaken, which is the older stuff. So make so boot option. Look at that, ISO hybrid. This is where you make the ISO to be able to boot from a hard disk and from an ISO. So we no longer want that, but this is oh my god, this is what now we do not want to use ISO hybrid anymore. Just create bootable ISO. Okay, so yeah, let's try to squash and rebase all of this. So we have these LB config switches, added artifacts, added config. So given that we are using LB config switches.t, even if it's inside of config directory, for now I'm not going to have config 2, but run live build .sh, where the hell is this? Wait a second. Okay, it's in here. So basically I want to branch from here, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah. So basically you branch from here. Prepare-config. Haven't we modified prepare-config? We didn't do that in the end. So yeah, so let's branch from here, and then we will push what we have done in here. So architecture B08. So let's cherry pick into B8. Let's cherry pick into B8 and so on. B8, B8, and B8. So now, if we take a look at this thing here, yeah, so if we compare B7 and B8, it should be the same thing. And now we can rebase like 10 commits, and we can reorder some of this stuff. So, and I actually want added package artifacts to be at the very end, because that's something that it only makes sense when you have everything in place. So I don't know how this is going to be, because we are going to push added package artifacts again and again to the very end. So yeah, so I don't know. So we want to squash run live build.sh and this one here, and maybe this one the other way around, so that we can have more of this, and then package artifacts. We will see how we can squash it later on. This and that and this. So now hit diff, hit the status. So again, if we compare 7 and 8, it's the same thing, but now we have much less commits. So we have 8 and going to push 8 so that it's not lost. GitHub origin version 8. Yeah, so we will see if this is all for today or not. Let me check. Okay, so I'm going to end the stream here. I think you haven't um, liked so much um, the girlfriend meme that they have put as a thumbnail. You know, AI not always has the best advice, even if I have selected it myself. But yeah, you know. So thank you very much for watching. Bye. By the way, the next day we will keep on reading these LB. Where the hell is this? This LB config switches. So you can see here, make common. We have a lot of switches. We are currently in the boot option, but we have the mirror bootstrap, mirror th root, mirror this that. Maybe we won't be using them, or maybe we will be, because I was using, like, you know, the snapshots, because that's what it was. It made sense to me. And here you have the APT options, ISO application. So we will see next day what we do with all of these switches. Okay. So again, thank you very much for watching. Bye.